You okay? My brother's a year older than me. His name's Liam. People used to ask my parents why they called him Liam. Liam Lamb. Try to say that 5 times really quick. It's because in China, when they name somebody, they name the person with the last name first and the first name last. So in the confusion, the people at the hospital registered my brother as Liam Lamb on his birth certificate. So it was lucky that, a year later when I was born, my parents got that all straightened out and they called me Lily Lamb. So nice bit of alliteration. But, because my brother and I were just a year apart, we were really close. And actually our whole family was close because our parents were really into soccer, which is kind of weird because soccer wasn't a really popular game in those days. Even today, it's not that popular. I guess it's really big in Europe and South America, but in North America. But anyway, so every soccer season, our parents, we would sit in front of the TV and watch soccer games all the time. And Liam and I would practice every day or every spare minute, so that we got really good. And we got so good that we made all the sports teams in school, and he was kind of like the Chinese David Beckham, and I was kind of like the female Chinese David Beckham. So but then being Chinese parents, academics was a big thing with them, and they wanted us to be like a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer. So as an incentive for us to do well in school, they'd give us a quarter for every A that we got on our report cards. And in those days, a loaf of bread cost 10 cents. So 25 cents for every A would make a lot of money. And then when we got older, we would work at the Peony every summer. So I'd sell hot dogs outside, and he would sell balloons and gadgets in the Shrine Peony Circus. And with the money that I saved up in the late 60s and 70s, it was a really big thing with men to wear tight paisley stretched shirts open down to their navels so that they could show off their hairy chest, and they would wear a lot of heavy chains. And so I bought several shirts and a lot of chains for my brother, and he loves them. And the other thing that we had to do, we had to go to Chinese school, which both Liam and I hated. But what we loved was after Chinese school, we would walk to the back kitchen of the Chinese restaurants in the alleys and buy a big package of fish and chips for 25 cents. And there's something about, fish and chips wrapped in Chinese newspaper that, because the ink gets absorbed into the food, it tastes so much better. And so, we love doing a lot of stuff together. Soccer was our dream. Like one day we would, be on TV and be, famous, and people would know our names. And so my brother was the star player on the team, and there was one preseason game where the Chinese news station was going to be there to interview him. And so he said to me, why don't you go and play in that game? Just go and ask the coach, and if the coach says no, I'll threaten to quit the team, and I know he's not going to let me do that because I'm the star player. So on the day of that game, I went dressed in the the school uniform, and the lady newscaster was interviewing Liam and the coach. So I walked up to the coach and said, I'd like to play on the team today. And then the coach looked at me and said, you know, are you crazy? Or, you know, there's no girl that plays on a guy's soccer team. And so I looked at Liam for support. And the look that I saw changed my life. I think it probably didn't last more than a minute, but it felt like it lasted an hour. It was the look on his face that he was actually enjoying my humiliation. And I could feel his hatred and resentment wash over me like a tidal wave. It was such a shock. I wasn't prepared for it. And for him to do it in front of our parents, in front of the school, in front of the camera. So I went beet red from embarrassment and from hurt, from anger, but I wasn't going to let them see me cry. So I clenched my hands really tight so that the nails dug into my palm, and then I just turned around and ran. And when I got home, I cried. And I cried. And I cried until there were no more tears left. There's no pain more hurtful than when you realize the person you love and you thought loved you back betrays you. So I quit the team. And we never got close again.
Did you hate him?
Do I hate him? Hate is a waste of time and energy. You know, it's funny. He became a doctor, and I became a dentist. But what's important in life is not what you do, or how much money you make, or how much fame you get. What's important is the relationship you have with the people you love.
I've never told this story before, so I don't really know where to start. But you guys have all been in love before, right? I was in love once. I was in love. When I was 18, I was a quiet, shy, introverted kid. I couldn't relate to many kids in my class. I played a lot of video games, kept to myself. But after high school, I decided to pursue a career in acting. And I met this 20-year-old girl in one of my theater classes. And to say she was amazing would be an understatement. Everything I could dream of in a girl was right there. I mean, she paid attention to me. She made me feel so alive. we just connected on a whole new level. I mean, she just got me. We shared laughs, jokes. I was living a dream. We'd often go out, drink together. One thing would lead to another. You know how that ends, right? You guys are probably like some kid who thought he's in love. Nothing to brag about.
It's okay, James. You're doing fine. Just go ahead.
I remember it like it was yesterday. I showed up to her house one night, drunk. And I just poured out all my feelings to her. I told her everything, how she made me feel, how much I cared about her. Everything, I just poured my heart out. And she was polite and kind. She sat, she listened to me. But she didn't say anything. She just listened to me, pour my heart out. And then she excused herself to go into the next room. And I sat there. I was so confused. I was lost, scared. I mean, here I am telling her everything, and she didn't even reply. I wanted her to feel the same way about me. So I followed her into the kitchen to talk with her some more. I mean, why didn't she say anything? And I saw her in the kitchen. She was in the corner crying. I see it all the time. She was cutting herself with razors. I mean, I don't understand. Why would she cut herself? Because I loved her? And she didn't feel the same way back, so she felt guilty? So she decided it's okay to cut herself? I mean, what kind of person cuts themselves? Because someone loves them? Well, I tried to help, but she wouldn't have it. She just wanted to be left alone, to cut herself. It was horrible. So I left. It's been 6 years now. I haven't heard from her. I haven't seen her. I think about her all the time. I wish so bad that I could pick up a phone and just call her, see how she was doing. But I can't. I won't. I haven't fallen for anyone in these last 6 years. I haven't felt the same way at all. I mean, I wish I could tell you that this love story has a happy ending. But unfortunately, this is the only love story I have.
I used to go to the lake with my dad. Somewhere a couple of hours away from where we used to live. And we'd just go there and talk. About anything. There was nothing I could say or do that was too stupid or too boring for my old man. He was a good man. But he had his problems. He loved to smoke and drink. beer and cigarettes betrayed him. And eventually, we were taking more trips to the hospital than the lake. It was in and out over time. Barely got to see him. I remember one time, he was out for a while, and he asked, "Do you want to go to the lake this Sunday?" Of course I wanted to go to the lake. With my dad, I was so excited. All week, the trip was all I could think about. And I remember the Saturday night, I couldn't even sleep. I was just dreaming about me and my dad and the fish in the water. I got up early that Sunday. My dad wasn't awake yet, which was unusual. And I heard a small cough from my parents' room. I went to go have a look. And there was my dad, just lying there, looking so old. And I asked him if he was going to get ready and go to the lake with me. "No, Ethan," he said. "I can't come with you to the lake." And I remember all that excitement just turned to disappointment and anger. And I blew up at him. I swore and screamed. I said the most terrible things to my old man. I was just a kid. I told him I hated him. I left on my own. I couldn't be there that day. I stayed out until it was dark. I finally come home. My mum's waiting there at the door. An hour after I had last spoken to my dad, he had had a minor heart attack and had been taken to hospital. I was up all night trying to write an apology, trying to put into words onto paper how sorry I was for what I had said, for what I had done. We got a call from the hospital. My dad had a second, more severe heart attack. And the doctors couldn't help him. They couldn't resuscitate him. He died. Alone from his family. Thinking that I hated him. And I never got the chance. I never got the chance to tell him that I was sorry. I never got the chance to tell him that I loved him, that he was my dad, and I loved him.